What's up, Brooklyn Squad? It's your girl Jay, and I'm doing another interview today. So sit back, put your girl armors on, and just take a look at what's going to happen today because what you're going to see and what you're going to hear is a little bit different. It's something probably like Brian's story. I'm not sure, but it's sad and it needs to be said, and she needs justice. So hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, and don't forget to hit the thumbs up. Please also join my membership for $1.99. It includes the interviews that I do, and you could jump on the panel with me and the victims family, and explode your opinion on everything. And you also get a movie night. Okay, not a bad deal for $1.99, guys. Oh, fuck. Wait, I did membership. Justice. Oh, I don't think it says RN. Hey, Kathy B, give me 1 minute. She's trying to get in. I don't know what happened. We're Facebook also. It's okay. Oh, okay, okay. Oh, you know what? She can't. I think she can't get in because I put members only. I'm gonna have to change that for a minute. Hold on, y'all. Damn, because I can only change it from here on my laptop. I can't change it from Fuck. I had to make it public for a minute. Hey guys, just give me a minute. Damn. It's a shame that you can't send links on TikTok, but I sent it to her on. There you go. All right. Okay, I'll tell you what happened when you come up. Okay. uh, all right, let me say. I'm gonna put the link down, and then you come on up. Okay, let's see if I can. Okay, there we go. I'm still learning stuff, girl, with all this YouTube stuff and internet stuff. So I had to take it off of private for her to get in. I totally forgot what I was thinking of. Um, so after this interview, I'm going to put it back on private. So those of you that have a chance right now, if y'all want to hop on in, hop on in. Well, I'm gonna make it back to members only. I was like, what's going on? Okay, I sent you the link so then you could just hit that link and come on up. Oh, it is hot in here, y'all. So everybody, I met this beautiful young lady on TikTok. And it was Brian that sent me her story, actually. Hey, Brian. There you go. I was just talking about you. It was Brian that sent me her story. And I was looking, and my heart was like, oh, man. Wow. I thought of Brian when I was looking at her story about her mother. And yeah, I was like, wow. I got to talk to her. I got to get her up here because so many people think that hospitals are amazing and nursing homes are amazing and they're just doing an amazing job. And no, no, not all. Like I said before, not all, but there is some that does not make the standard, that does not do well. And that's why I wanted her to tell her story. Oh, shoot, what happened? Up, you went away, mama. How are you, Brian? Okay. Oh, it says no connection. Okay, there she go.
Oh my God.
Hi.
Hi. So look, you know how sometimes when things are like not going well, you go, okay, it's not meant to be. We're not going to force it.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
I literally just had the hardest time getting on here, but I'm glad I
No,
made it.
you know what I think happened? I had it on private, not private, members only, right?
Oh, okay.
And
Okay.
I think that was what it was. So I was like, oh man,
Okay.
I have it on members only. I think I have to put it on public.
Yeah,
Then
yeah,
you
yeah.
come in here, and then I'm still kind of new to all this stuff and everything.
Oh,
So
I'm
it's
definitely
like,
new.
I
Yeah.
was like, okay, I'll just put it on public for a little while, let some people, come in and stuff, and then after I'll put it back on membership. I think that's fair enough,
I think it's fair.
so yeah. How are you?
Uh, I'm I'm having a better day today, actually. Better day. Yesterday was a little tough.
Mm.
um, and the day before, but in less than 24 hours, we have gained, last time I checked, it was over 696 signatures on the petition. So yesterday was a big day.
Hey, I definitely signed it. If you want to put it in the links, you can in the comments below. so everyone could sign it
Okay.
and stuff, or the subs that come in and everything, they'll be able to sign it as well. Um,
Okay.
who are you? Who are you? Let's know who you are a little bit. He's
Right.
so pretty.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So, so if I'm going to be really transparent about that question, obviously for most people that's like very simple, right?
Hmm.
I almost don't even know anymore, to be completely honest with you. Um, Traits, experiences, I don't even know what I'm becoming, if that makes any sense. But
Mm.
I was a registered nurse in the state of Indiana. My
Okay.
last job was I was a manager on a behavioral health unit, inpatient. And I never really got into like a bunch of hobbies. I have always just been like that advocate that I take care of people.
Mm.
So I am the oldest of four and the only girl. And I don't even know. I don't know. I have a husband and two kids. My son is 17 and my daughter is 9. And really, for the last 8.5 years, we've been taking care of mama. So I
Mm.
rarely, go out. Yeah. So I took care of my mama for a long time. And I don't know how to answer that question.
So you did good. You did good. I get it.
Yeah.
I get what you're saying. Um, who was your mother? What was her name? Who was she?
Right. So my mom's name is Sherry French, Sherry Lynn French. She was the epitome of the woman that could do it all.
Mm.
She, for a while, was a single mom of four, and so her passion has always been first for single mothers. And she also was a nurse. And her last position before cancer, she was what you call a house supervisor for one of the larger networks here. And
Mm.
so, to put a perspective on her position, considering how her patient care went, she was the head nurse in the hospital, whether it was day shift or night shift.
Oh shoot. What happened? Okay, there she go. There
Okay,
you go.
whether it was day shift or night shift, who took care of all the issues within the hospital. So this is the one that would get called if, they have a helicopter coming in. She's saying, you go do this, you go do that, or have such and such do this. She's the one finding the beds out of nowhere so the patients can get out of the hallway. That was her. And
Okay.
so she was driven. She was very smart. And nursing wasn't her only passion. She too loved caring for people, was always about people. So she did go to real estate school,
Oh.
became a realtor, and then a broker. And she had just opened her real estate, business and just got sick and. So she's
I
also,
saw, I saw the
I
picture. She's beautiful.
thank you. Yeah,
I
I
saw
have a
some
hard
pictures.
time. So forgive me. I have a hard time
It's
saying
okay.
was. It like
Mm.
it like naturally just doesn't come out of my mouth. So I roll with that. But she also was a legal nurse consultant and was just wanting to reach out and figure out how to offer and provide help, whether it was like law firms in medical cases or patients.
Wow. She was doing her thing. Wow.
Yeah,
What
her
happened?
resume is impeccable. Um, there's no short story to it. If we stick first to the very simple thing, she was tortured. That's the overall thing. But on the night of December 29th of 2021, I found her down in her room. She had a metal spoon, and this part is sad, but it's just her. A metal spoon in her hand, and she was down on her knees, and she had put baking soda on the spoon. Those who are in the medical field know that that's a home remedy when you're trying to get rid of respiratory acidosis. So basically, like asthmatic kids, or she's trying to get everything back in balance. And she knew the issue was respiratory, but she never got the spoon to her mouth. And she and I had this code thing where if she became almost coherent in maybe one of her flares, I would give her the nod or she would give me the nod. And that means we have to go. Because
Okay.
our number one thing has always been avoiding the hospitals, because this was not the first hospital she was abused at. She actually has been abused across all three major networks here in Indy.
What?
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
So on this night, the EMS arrived, and so this is a sidebar too. When I'm looking elsewhere, process my thoughts. I'm not thinking about what I'm saying. I'm really sometimes in another day because such that arrive and felt like super critical, which perhaps were in the 40s. Um, we were scared initially because you're dying, she always did go, was
You
being
going
able
in
to
and out.
breathe. Uh-oh, can you hear me?
Uh-uh. Just going in and out.
What about now?
Now you good. Okay. It was going
Okay.
like, okay, you
Yeah,
good.
it's also not uncommon that my Wi-Fi starts doing crazy stuff when I talk about important stuff.
Mm.
Um, but EMS felt like she was critical, and they asked her where she wanted to go. She initially wanted to go into the city, which is 20-30 minutes from where we live, because she felt like that would be where she could get the best standard care.
Right.
Um, the paramedics basically talked her out of not doing that because it was far.
Mm.
And the thing to know about this is that we are 5 minutes from the last hospital that abused her system. And we couldn't go back there because she had reached out to the CEO and had some conversations with him, wanting to help from a patient perspective and nursing perspective about the biases, specifically with Dr. Susan Moore. And we didn't get any resolve. So
Wow.
this was the first hospital stay since that conversation, but she was afraid that she wouldn't make it out of there. So she wasn't supposed to even be at the hospital she passed at. But EMS insisted because it's closer. And
Damn.
by the 31st, New Year's Eve, she calls it about, I don't know, between like 7 to 9 off the top of my head. And she's crying and almost hysterical. And anybody that knows her knows she doesn't cry.
Mm.
She's the type, even when she's sick, she handles whatever it is she needs to handle. And then you find out about it afterwards. So she had been struggling with kind of losing her autonomy. But she always like maintained control and was always abreast to everything going on. So I'm on the phone with her and I'm like, Mom, what's wrong? She hit me. And I'm
What?
like, huh? Who did? And she's like, the respiratory therapist. And she's like talking, talking, talking. And I can hear somebody else in the background. And I'm like, Mom, no, slow down. And then like the phone, Wi-Fi did whatever it did. So I get back on the phone with her and she tells me that she was having some burning in her nostrils that was
Right.
making her chest hurt. And with her mast cell condition, which is, the underlying disease process, there are very simple things that will set her off. So this is like somebody allergic to everything but
Oh,
nothing. And we have always maintained not like total control, but by being proactive. So I actually have moved in over almost 8 years to be her 24-hour caregiver. So this is the first and the only time she was out of my care.
got you. Okay.
And
Wow.
um, it wasn't right away when I noticed um, that there was a reason they were wanting to keep me out. And because of the abuse we had, there's always stuff that you go, you know. And had I known now, then it would have made sense for me to just go in there fighting. Um, but there was a piece to this that assumed maybe this could be a safer place because this is the only place she hadn't been to. So the heat is about 98 degrees, and you can hear the machine, at least in one video. You can hear how fast the pressure and hard is going. Well, it had went dry. Naturally, anything 98 degrees blowing up your nostrils is going to burn, it's going to be dry. So at the same time, she's having all this burning sensation. She then starts having chest pain. The way that mast cells works, they always go to the area of injury. And the best way to describe how her body works under that, it's really unique to look at and study because the stuff is like, oh, 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 but you have to want to know it. You know what I mean? Like you have to go and find out. But she had a mast cell attack, and you never want mast cells really in the lungs because what happens is it's like an army that comes with all of their artillery and they're shooting at a rabbit, right? Or they're shooting at their shadows. So it's like everything's in overdrive, which is what the immune system's doing, but it overdoes it, which can also cause the same issue.
Gotcha.
So she has her hand on the, nasal thing and she's like pulling it like down to here and basically saying like, I can't breathe. This is hot. Something's wrong. And
Right.
the nurse notices that the humidifier bag with water was dry, no water in it. So what it was giving was a very noxious odor, which again, she was sensitive to smells. And then the heat. So she had just did this, and respiratory therapist, she said, came in, didn't say anything, just started snatching things away, then turned and looked at her as she, had the prongs here and kind of moved her hand and then you got to keep this in or something of the sort. And then my mother responds to her by like, don't touch me. I'm telling you something's going on with this. It burns. It's hot.
Right.
And she smacks her hand at least one time and told her whatever she told her. But
Right.
she's yelling and screaming at her. And my mother described it. She described to me that she was incoherent and out of control and aggressive. So as I'm on FaceTime with her, I hear somebody in the background talking. And it was at this point where I'm like, oh no, mama's having a bad reaction. Like she's going to have a seizure. And so I'm looking at her and she goes, Sheree, the nurse is right here. My mother doesn't talk like that. So that told me she was scared to death. And stress 100% of the time will cause mast cell reaction. So at the same time, I'm trying to keep her calm. I'm listening, and she goes, "Didn't you? You saw it. You saw it, didn't you?" I said, like I'm gathering my information. I'm like,
Right.
who are you talking to? Is she still there? And she said, no, she just walked out, just walked out. And I'm looking at her and I'm like, Mom, something's wrong. Like, and so she's talking and then she gets really winded. And I'm like, what the heck? Well, the picture you guys see on TikTok with the thing on, there's a
Right.
meaning behind that because that's how the respiratory therapist left her. She put the mask on and then threw the nasal prongs on top. And, to heck with her. So my mother wasn't getting the appropriate oxygen. So as we were on the phone, we're talking, and then the nurse who I was like calling like to the phone goes, "Oh, you're," and she says, "What? Are you out of breath? Are you okay?" She said, "Yeah, but I'm starting to feel a little winded." And she goes, "Oh my God, your air was not even on." She put it on top of the mask. So if you pay very close attention to that picture on my profile, it looks like I want it to look. Like, what?
Mm.
Um, so that's why that's there. And I said, Mom, what was happening? She said, she was aggressive. She said she got all in my face, was staring me eyeball to eyeball. She said, I told her that she can leave and that she won't be back. She told me that she'll be back because she's all that she's getting. So I said, well, how did the nurse get in? She was here, Cherie. She was here. I said, no, no, no. I know she's there, but have you already had a chance to tell her? No, I just called you. And I'm like, okay.
Mm.
So she said, she watched the whole thing. She's getting ready to write her statement and report it. I said, no, I'm going to do it. Huh? No, she's going to write. I said, the issue that I have is that she stood and watched it. No, thank you.
That's what I was gonna say.
No, thank you. No,
Right.
thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So I call hospital administration, the commands, going up the ladder of commands, reach the head security on call because it was like physical assault. He told me that I needed to call IMPD to report it, called, did so. They asked if she was able to speak, like for on her own behalf.
Right.
And I said, yeah, but she's got nasal prongs in, so it's kind of loud. And they said, well, normally we send an officer up to her, like up to see them. And I'm like, okay, well, that's fine. So the end result of this was there either is going to be, yes, it is. Well, so the mast cell syndrome, activation syndrome is a little different than systemic mastocytosis. So the mast cells in the syndrome are like overactive type thing, and there's like a lot of them. But then the systemic part is they're all there and they're going crazy. So it's not much of a difference, but usually the mast cell activation syndrome is a lot easier to manage. So,
And that she didn't have that.
well, they're basically the same thing,
Oh,
but
okay.
let's just say it this way: hers was more severe on the lines of basically cancerous.
Oh,
So like a blood cancer. She also had multiple myeloma. So there could be all kind of thoughts and theories. We'll come back to that because
yeah.
she was misdiagnosed in 2017 from the network she was working with. They fired her while she was off on FMLA, and then we go to another network because she's on death's door, and immediately had to go for chemo and stem cell. So we can come back to that later.
Okay.
Um,
Wow.
but
Ooh.
um, IMPD never calls her. They told me to let her know that the call will always be private, so don't ignore the call. They never call, they never come. Hindsight 2020, this is not something that stays high on the radar for me because there was something happening every single day. And so every single day she was having an injury that should not have happened. Like, we're not talking about she wasn't doing well. We're talking about right after we reported this, the doctor comes in and cancels her food and water, then tells me,
Huh?
yeah, I get on the
Excuse my
phone with her.
English. I'm
No,
sorry.
it's okay. So I get on the phone with her and,
Hmm.
I'm like, are you taking care of, my mom? She's like, yeah, I'm calling because I said, yes. And what the other doctor has been doing is at least calling, around the same time, every day, and we do a conference call. Is that something, because she was new coming on, is that something that you can continue to do? Because I'm not being allowed in there. So she tells me that my mother requested no food and no water and that she wanted to be intubated. Now, remember, I told you my mother was number one fear, right? So we're going back and forth. And one of the videos, you can hear my mom talking about this, where she said we did a conference call. Um,
Mm-hmm.
okay, so this is that conversation. And by the end of the conversation, what I had said was, I will bring her food and we will make sure that it's heated up because we all she ate was vegetables and fruit. And that is because a lot of her mast cells make her, flare with certain foods. And so it was a very torturous disease process. She was suffering, but she was alive and she loved that. So um, I had to offer to bring her food in because they wouldn't accommodate. Um, and then when I offered to bring it in, I sit it down like at the nurse's station. They leave it 3-4 hours. So then I'm like, okay, well, I might as well not make this stuff hot. I'm going to sit it down there. And because you guys are busy, because I'm
Right.
a nurse too, right?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe someone can go down and get it, or maybe security can take it up and you guys can warm it up. No, we can't warm anything up here. I said, why not? I said, don't you still have the, microwave down in the cafeteria? No, they removed it because of COVID. I said, okay. Do you have a break room? Yeah. I said, does that have a microwave? Yeah, but we can't use that. I said, so how do you warm
Wow.
up your food? Excuse me, how do you warm up your food?
Mm.
And she like paused. I said, she's not going without eating. She has fruit there. She has already told me she's been eating it. And there's no way that she asks to be intubated because that is her number one fear. We have already been intubated before. Okay. So she didn't want that. So we go back and forth. And I literally had to call this physician a liar. Now, what she didn't know is that my mother's on the other phone. I have to walk out because my mother hears her say that and starts screaming. What? I've never said that. She came in and what? I said, Mom, it's okay. It don't even make sense. I said, but what's sad is that this sounds like some recording that they have been saying to all these families and families that don't know any better because they're not supposed to be medical feel like, oh, yeah, well, they're probably in so much pain or suffering because we don't know
Mm.
anything about COVID. The way she said that to me let me know she never went in there and she hasn't had one conversation with my mother because my mother would have told her, my thing is, I want to make sure that I'm eating to fight this off because I cannot get ill. Now, she was already sick, but ill means to where she can't manage herself.
Right. Okay.
Okay, well, my mom's in this reaction. Um, well, the doctor said she was going to put the orders in. That didn't happen. Okay. That's what my mom meant when she said, we thought we had an understanding. That didn't happen. So later that night, my mom needed the pain meds. That's also a video that's on there. Right. So it's a different time frame. And what she's saying is like, how am I supposed to take my pills? One, all these are pills. So they didn't even change the route of her pain meds as a cancer patient. Okay. They were refusing nitro, which we hear a lot. And now she has to take all these pills. But then on top of that, she says, well, I asked them to change the route, and they said that they're not doing this tonight, that the day shift doctor will have to put in an order for it. I said, who? The doctor? Yeah. I said, so why are they there at night?
Hmm.
And so, we
Yeah.
conversate, and that was literally our conversations. The way I kept her calm was by meeting her in the conversation where she was at, especially if it was a thing where we weren't face to face. And that's how she kept from being scared. And that's how basically it's like the fight or flight system. We were always in fight, always. So that type of thing continues. That bag goes dry at least 3 more times. After
Wow.
the first time, which is when the therapist hit her, she ended up with a hole in her lung that they tried not to tell me about. Then, when I found out about it, they told me it was just so small. And I'm like, that's why her breathing got worse. So she was weaning off, as she says in one video. But after what happened with the respiratory therapist, she blew a hole in her lungs. She also gave her what we call subcutaneous emphysema. And basically, what that means is a bunch of air pumped within like your tissue. So her face being swollen and her neck being swollen was probably a combination of her mast cells, which causes, swelling in the reaction, but then also the fact that she had all this air trapped here. So I had asked about chest tubes. They said that the air would resolve on their own. I felt like the chest tubes would make more sense because if her lungs are full, like the x-ray says today, but didn't say yesterday, then, she needs tubes or her breathing's never going to improve. That didn't happen. What I also find out about that night is it appears she had a heart attack. And that also ended up being the night that I was on the phone like till 1, 2 in the morning, um, going back and forth about nitro. And I could give you a story every single day, 24 days of unexcusable neglect and abuse. We don't have enough time in a month.
Mm.
This is a movie.
Damn.
So basically, when she arrived, she was already on like day 11 of COVID, which everybody knows the contagious part, right? And so when I brought that up, I'm like, she's 11, 12 days out or so.
So she got that
Why?
in the hospital then.
No, no, no. She had it. She had already had it. We actually all had it. Sorry.
Okay.
We all were
Okay.
sick in December. Um, and she basically was coming out of it, which,
Mm.
without making it very complicated, the way that her mast cells work is that, remember, they're in overdrive.
Right.
So what they're doing is fighting what they think is foreign in the body, trying to get rid of it. And that's why her cancer levels would stay pretty low, if that makes sense.
It does.
So her body's busy fighting off this infection, but now the mast cells are probably causing lung issues, which is why I think she went in. She didn't have a fever, or whatever. So the appearance is that she got there and got worse. And it's not just like the appearance of it, it's she got there, then this happened, then this happened, then this happened, then they lied about this, they lied about that. Bam. Now she's intubated.
Mm.
Because what a lot of people don't know is that those videos was before she was even intubated. The way she passed is a whole nother story. So that abuse happened. And if we fast forward,
Mm.
um,
Go ahead. I'm gonna show them a few of the videos. Is that okay? I don't know if she can hear me. Oh, you can't hear me? Your mic is off. Your thing is off. Let me see. I think mine's is on. Can you guys hear me? Katie, Kathy, can you hear me? It's on. I think it's on your side. Can y'all hear me? Yes? Okay, it's on your side. Go back down and then come back up. I'm gonna message her. Okay, yeah. She go down and then come back up. It's very sad. Very, very sad. Damn. Wow. Just give her a minute, guys. I'm gonna put the link again down below just in case. I guess I can show you guys a few videos that she's talking about. I'll show it on my phone.
Today is Monday, January 3rd, and my name is Sherry Lynn French. I am a patient at St. Vincent's Hospital, West 86th Street, Indianapolis. Got admitted for COVID. My underlying disease process is I have cancer, of which I was in active treatment when I came down with the COVID infection. I've been in the hospital now for several days, and I have been managing with the disease process by eating a lot of fruit and drinking only water for my nutrition. So this has been going on since the 28th. And I started feeling better. I was turning a corner. I was maxed out completely on the oxygen therapy that they had set up for me, but my oxygen demand did improve.
Hold on. Let me just bring her up.
2 nights ago.
Okay. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
You want me to stop?
2 nights ago.
No, it's okay.
I started smelling a very noxious odor coming from the nasal prongs, and my nose started burning. I started having burning in my chest and in my back. So I alerted the nurse. She immediately looked at my airbo. That's the name of the device, and noticed that the water bag had completely dried up. This is something that's not supposed to happen. So she contacted respiratory immediately. Respiratory comes. In the meantime, I'm struggling because the noxious odor is causing me to have a like anaphylactic flare.
Mm.
So while trying to prevent more damage from that caustic air, I pulled the prongs down out of my nose and was holding on to them. The respiratory therapist very aggressively,
Mm.
without saying one word, grabbed my hand and pretty much just forcefully removed it away from the tubing. And when I withdrew my hand from her, she smacked my hand. She actually assaulted and hit me. And then she had the audacity to start yelling at me,
Mm. Mm. Mm.
talking about her patient load. And I was so in shock that she actually physically hit me and didn't bother to, she didn't even catch herself or say, "Oh, I'm sorry." She just continued in this rant that was incoherent and didn't make sense. Her behavior was very erratic. She was loud. She was aggressive. She got him on, like, leaned over, eyeball to eyeball, very threatening. And I told her she was dismissed. She could.
Okay, I'm just going to uh pause it for a minute because she's having a hard time. I want to make sure you're okay.
Yeah.
It's hard watching it.
Yeah, and it's even worse because I'm either had just got off the phone with her in these cases and I'm
Mm.
on the phone with the nurse's station, um, or it just it's like I was there. And so that's like the biggest issue with Indiana. They can't spin this story. And so to say, oh, you couldn't come, you couldn't, I never got off the phone with her, obviously, unless it was this. And it
Was
just,
she ever working for them at one time? Because she was a
she did,
nurse.
yep. And she also worked with a lot of the staff members that were near her or on her care, including the respiratory therapist. So, what I would say about that, because I actually don't know, um, the time the therapist would have been at the network she was, the house supervisor at, they should have crossed paths. I'll say that
Mm.
because the that nurse would also be over, you know, respiratory issues and, whatever else. So this is like, the big boss on hospital. So if
Mm.
this therapist was there when it looks like she was there and she said she was there, then they should have crossed paths. The other thing is they have mutual contacts. So
Mm.
my mother would not have remembered her, um, especially with her disease process. What was weird is she was so super keen and on top of her medical care, but she couldn't remember where she put the pencil. And that was trauma. So you guys are hearing her speak intelligently, but she was very, very sick here. And so I like to say that because it brings out her strength and her passion to get this out to people. Because obviously her plan was to share it, talk about it, and help improve it.
It was very, very, very smart of her to put that on cam. To record every single thing, everything.
So I don't know how many people believe in God or a higher
Mm.
power,
Yeah.
but this is a
Yeah.
story that no human could have fabricated or put together to play out the way it has. But she could be a catalyst for a whole lot. In April of 2020, I was just starting to be okay with her driving by herself.
Mm.
But she snuck out the house. My mother-in-law rather, So it wasn't, my mom, but my mother-in-law was admitted to this hospital for COVID. And we know that COVID started running rampant like the end of March. So by April, we were full out, just paranoid, scared to death. And my mother-in-law was sick. My mother essentially had been bedridden for years. What I mean by that is no one really, they didn't want to really help her, and so she got to the point where she didn't want to ask for, additional pain meds because of all that stuff. But on this particular day, out of nowhere, she gets up, leaves, does not tell me she's leaving, did not tell me she, was gone. And while she's gone, I get a phone call, and it's, from the hospital. And the sister is on the line, my sister-in-law, and she goes, Mama just took the tube out. And I'm like, huh? She says she just sat up out of the bed out of nowhere and pulled her tube out. And right now she's on room air. I'm like overwhelmed. I'm like screaming and crying. And I'm like, thank you, Jesus. Oh my God. You know? Um, and then I go to tell my mom, who is not where she should be. And I call, like, where'd you go? Did you go to the store? She said, uh. I said, what did you say? She's like, nothing. I said, Mommy, she extubated herself. She's on room air. So my mom starts screaming and shouting. I hear the phone drop, and we are Pentecostal apostolics.
Okay.
And she's speaking in tongues. It wasn't her. And I said, Mom, are you okay? Where are you at? What's wrong? She said, Sheree, I've been out here walking around the hospital praying for the staff, for the patients, for the families. I'm on my 7th lap. I've walked 7 miles for everybody in here. So that was the first hospital she started walking around. It's so ironic. And then by January of 2022, she's gone from the same people she was praying for. She continued those walks around every hospital here in Indy, locally. 7 miles for 7 days for patients and medical staff. Can't make it up. So I did share the video. She took video of these accounts. And it's so, so profound.
How did she pass away? 'Cause she was doing good for a minute, right? I mean, she was walking.
Yep. So I find out that her lung situation got worse, most likely because that respiratory therapist meant what she said. And she was back on her care at least 2 other times throughout the night. So nighttime became an issue. And so I started sleeping through the day a little and then being up all night to be on the phone.
Yeah, I get it.
I asked every day to be there. And we know how that goes. The truth is, at this point, this is the third hospital system. COVID was the only thing they could throw out there to keep me,
Right.
And now I know why they were aggressively doing that. I had sent my mom's neurologist in there because she was having a seizure every time they push meds, which is a mast cell reaction because they just are. I had left her binder there. She had her rescue meds so she could rescue herself if she needed to. They took those and locked those in a cabinet. In one of the videos, you'll hear the nurse say, have you seen your multivitamins? And that's why she's asking that, because they had them, in there, locked up in a cabinet. So she couldn't even help herself. So she got worse over the time because of literal injuries that they were making happen. And infections were another trigger. So I had offered to come and take this very complicated patient kind of off their hands. I had
Right.
also talked to the caseworker about getting home O2. This is before she becomes even halfway critical, which she wasn't really critical now that I look at it. Do you know what I mean? Like it was planned.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I kept
Basically.
asking to be there and I kept getting different answers. It was always no, but they didn't have like a solid story. So to fast forward, I said, well, you guys had a plan in place for patients. Exceptions will be made for patients that can't participate, in their care or for end of life or for labor, delivery, and something else. I said, she fits well into the exceptions because when she's having seizures, she can't tell you guys what she needs. You can't come in there to rescue her on time. I am a nurse, and apparently everybody needs nurses right now. This is my patient. I can come and bathe her, manage everything but the oxygen and meds.
Right. Right.
In a pandemic, explain to me, or I want you to just think about the answer being clearly no. And then after that conversation, I'm like, I got to get somebody in there. I have to get somebody to lay eyes on her. And we call her neurologist because she had been having seizures and nobody called for any consults. None, not one. So he goes in to see her. And what's so ironic about it is he was supposed to go the day before. And so I'm calling into my mom's room, which meant she didn't answer the 3 calls in a row, which meant she was in trouble. So I call the room hoping somebody's in there because I knew she was having a reaction. And I had to call 5 times and then he answers. And so I'm screaming and crying. And I said, she's having an attack, isn't she? He said, yeah, for a little bit now. I'm standing here right with her. She's really weak or something like that. And I said, where's the staff? And he said, well, somebody had, well, and I'm like, what?
What?
So he holds his conversation and then he says, they're going to come back in here. Well, later on, he's talking to my stepfather and he says it was like Fort Knox getting in there. He said, as soon as I had like gowned up to go in her room, everybody at the nurse's station got up, followed me in. They went and got the charge nurse, wanting to know who I was, wanted to see my badge, wanted to ask who called him and why he was there. I said, oh, for your patient. He said, well, yeah. He said that, they're like looking.
Wow.
And he said, they're like looking at me. And I'm like, this is my badge. And either he had, the facilities badge or whatever it was, he had privileges there. So it wasn't even his first, like, he's supposed to be there. Y'all should have called him. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
But everybody left everywhere they were
Let's
to
see.
come make sure nobody was in with her, which is a red flag. And I'm at the same time calling the nurse's station because they're not in there fast enough. If she is this critical, they've waited a long time. And you can't tell me otherwise because I've managed these episodes. I call the nurse's station and they tell me that
Mm.
they can't give me any information and that I wasn't on the list. I
What?
said, I said, I forgot what her name was, but I had called her by her name at that time. I said, I just talked to you 30 minutes ago. And so it was one of those things where I didn't know
Unbelievable.
that he had that issue in the room, which is why they were talking to me like that. He, after he leaves, discuss what happened, and then it all makes sense. So, a patient that critical, a patient that has time to make multiple videos about her care, and nobody sees it. Think about how much time she would have to be alone. In one of the videos, you hear the monitor beeping and it never goes off. That's because nobody gets even close to her, which is close to the pump. So, wouldn't let me stay. And The day before she passed,
It's a shame.
that night, they asked if somebody wanted to stay with her. And I quickly thought, I thought, I thought it was only end of life. And I asked. I didn't ask very long, but I had this feeling like, okay, so is she passing tonight or tomorrow? What do you know? And still at this time, I'm not thinking that they were intentionally doing anything or withholding information or not doing things, right? It was just stuff that because we've been abused and gaslit so much, the clues and cues, you know. Next morning, we come in. My stepfather ended up staying with her. Next morning, I come in like 6 o'clock, and the nurse says, "Oh my God, her labs were, good or whatever." And by the next hour, within an hour, the physician comes in. She's not doing good. She's older, and they have been saying that for days, right? And I'm like,
Right.
I just don't know. We haven't done everything just yet. And I'm like, mm-hmm. And so he comes and he's like, she's not doing good at all. I'm really worried about her. She's our sickest patient up here. And I'm thinking to myself, so how did that happen? And she's on this floor before ICU where they're telling her she's not sick enough, which is why they ignored her. They thought she was faking and didn't care. But now she's too sick. Whose fault is that?
Mm-hmm. It's like they was torturing her,
Yeah, right state of
holding,
mind,
withholding
because
stuff from
it's a
her.
lot. It's a lot all at once going on. That's not true at all. That's how crazy it was. That's exactly how this played out. So what I'm doing is putting the pieces together for you. So when it all comes together, you can understand how it was that we were prevented from helping her. The story is this confusing and messy, and in healthcare, it shouldn't be.
Right.
But thank you, Katie. So doctor comes in and says the labs are so terrible. The nurse just said they were fine. All day long, they're in and out, looking at her monitor. And it was like they were waiting for something to happen, and it didn't. So, like out of nowhere, I hear this code being called down the hall. They were just in the room staring at the monitor. So they run out of our room to the code, come back. Yeah, yeah. So we're gonna have to flip her, and I just like, it's like I kind of zoned out, and I didn't hear them like saying why they were going to flip her because it didn't make sense, right?
Right.
So from a breathing perspective, she should have always been on her belly first and foremost, but they put her on her belly late. And then at this point, I'm like, well, the oxygen doesn't look like it's doing bad. Why would we be flipping her? So to make that long story short, we're standing like in the hall. They tell us to call family. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
So we call family, and the nurse says, that's the recorder. There's other people that have showed up, because you know how culturally that stuff happens. And everybody comes, knowing that everybody can't get in. And she said, they're all wanting to come up here. And it's like, well, she already has a big family, it's 5, 6 of us. It like, this nurse said, well, we can bring them all in. The more the merrier. And I remember
What?
like,
I'm sorry. I just.
yeah. So I remember thinking like, not like, excuse
Mm.
me, but more so like,
Whoa.
okay, so everybody's going to make sure because that was the issue
Mm.
always. You always have to prove everything, right? So it's like my thought was she was safer with everybody being in there than we would have been with one or two people. So there's like 9, 10 of us in the room. All of a sudden, they just start beating on her chest. And I say all of a sudden because no monitors went off. It was that they first didn't want to resuscitate. And the question was, why do you think she's going to code? Right?
Wow.
And it's like at the same time that I'm crying and praying, I
Jeez.
literally turn my back and I'm looking at the nurse's station. Every nurse on the floor, if I'm going to guess, was right there. Yet we're right in front of the nurse's station, been that way, and I'm picking her up out of the bed before this to take her to the bathroom, to let her pee in the basin. She had to stand over the basin to pee because they weren't answering the call light that was directly in front of them. So
I'm so sorry.
they only do 2 rounds of CPR. The same people that, said that she wasn't going to make it are in the room. They never said what happened as to why, they needed to just be beating her chest, but blood started shooting through her tube. And then a doctor yelled, "Stop. We have to stop. We have to stop. We're hurting her." And then of course, at that point they're like, "Oh, she's gone," whatever. There's probably more to that I don't, to stay in my right state of mind. I know I don't need to talk about it. So anyway, we sit and then everybody walks out of the room, but me. And so I'm in there and I'm on the side of her bed underneath the monitor on the floor, like just on the floor crying. And it's like 10 minutes goes by, right? And I have to say approximately because it might have been longer. It couldn't have been much shorter. I just keep hearing this doot, 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 doot. And I like zone it out. Nurse comes in, steps over me, and says, excuse me, let me just turn this off. And I'm like, oh, okay. After the fact, we get medical records, and her heart rate was 34. So it was her heart still beating. And 2 rounds of CPR on a beating heart shouldn't have happened. And a heart rate of 34, you don't stop resuscitation efforts. So I would have never guessed that her heart was still beating. And 2 minutes was just to say they did it. And before that, I had told them that she needs glucagon before you give epi. And I even explained to them why. I'm like, she's on a beta blocker. Epi won't be effective if we have to give it unless you do the glucagon first. So she walked around with them in her pocket, or I had them. He tells me no. That, it'll be fine and, whatever. So what you guys didn't hear me say is that she crashed and then they yelled a code overhead for the team to come in. The code team. They never called.
But her heart was still okay. She'll come back, y'all.
What was that?
Her heart was still beating a little bit, right?
Yes, but the initial code,
right,
whatever it was that became so critical, even though they
didn't.
knew, right, you're supposed to call a code overhead so the code team arrives. They never called it.
Damn. I'm so sorry. Wow. That hospital, whew.
And look, that's just enough for today.
I feel you. Are you taking any action? Like what's gonna happen? Um,
I'm I'm gonna be very short and clear about it. I will be a familiar name in this state
that's
due to
right.
healthcare or my advocacy in healthcare. They don't want to cover this story because they know how bad it is and it can't be spun.
Mm,
So the local news stations here have had those videos for over a year. We have had a direct contact, that I was talking to an investigative reporter
right.
who's had these videos. And what's ironic is that my mother had reached out to this investigative reporter in 2021. And, you know,
Wow. And it's
so,
2023.
right. So she's
Right.
then gone before you can report on the issue she was calling about.
Mm,
And maybe had we reported on it, people would have been on guard. I don't know. But I have, gone up the chains as much as I can. But as long as I'm doing that alone, I'm going to continue to be retaliated against.
what can we do for you?
Help contact people here, like the news stations,
Okay.
governor. I really think it needs to be a DOJ AG thing because state has failed us on every level for longer than this. We also have the petition. Yesterday, we
Mm-hmm.
had a really good day. We had over 600 signatures in less than 24 hours. And so
Yes.
that was big, being
Yeah.
that I'm just doing this, I'm on TikTok, or I'm glad you're having me, because these conversations do get easier. But signing the petition, sharing the petition, my mind tells me that we absolutely have to have this out nationally before the state will even budge.
Can you drop the petition in the whenever you get ready in the
I don't think
comments?
I have it saved.
That way we could I signed it already. Um, so everybody, please sign the petition, and I'm going to be sharing it later and all that stuff. And the information, whatever information, phone numbers, and all that, send it to me, and I'll get a little thing out and I'll send it out so we can start making phone calls. Hey, Miss V. I saw you, Mama, but I was, I didn't want to be rude. I think her thing, her Wi-Fi or something keeps messing up, but she'll be back. This gave me chills, like literally. Oh my gosh! Wow, wow. Katie says, please share what to sign. I know, Katie, you said you can't come up because the babies are sleeping. Kathy B,
Oh,
do you want to come up? I'm gonna let my members come up. My members, do you guys want to come up? I know Katie said the baby's sleeping, so Kathy B, Brian, any other members would like to come up? If any of the members wants to come up who has a membership, you guys are allowed. You can come up here. I think I have like 5 members, which is Brian, Kathy, Katie, and a few other people. I don't think some people are here. Okay, you're working, and I know Katie said the baby, so, and I don't know if Brian is still here, and the other 2 members are not here, so that's about it then. I'm glad that some other people was able to uh come and join this live after, because after this I'm just gonna put it for members only, so at least a few people was able to see it. She'll be back. I think she's trying to figure out her Wi-Fi. Yeah, I'm gonna definitely share this out. um the phone numbers, whatever she gives me, I will make a live short of it, put the numbers out, and then write it also, and if people wants to call and stuff like that, please do. I'm definitely gonna call, that's for sure. This gave me chills because it's just like they was just literally making her suffer. Like, how could people are so freaking evil. People are so evil. And this reminds me of when my mother was in the hospital, you know? Let me bring her back up. People are so freaking evil.
Yeah.
This yeah, when I'm listening to you, it reminds me of when my mother was in the hospital. She winds up being in the hospital, don't even know what happened because in 2 days talking to her, she was cursing out the nurses like she usually do, and laughing with me on the phone. And then 2 days later, she lost the ability to talk, move, anything. She couldn't do nothing, and we could not figure out. So I was listening to you, and I'm like, I'm so sorry.
I'm sorry for you too. I'm sorry for us. I'm sorry for us. And us is anybody that,
Anybody?
has been in this position. And a lot of times people don't really know they're in that position. Um, and that I know was like my mother's number one thing. She was always worried about what about the ones that just don't know? If I've been treated this way, what about the ones that don't know? And she felt like
Wow.
it was extreme, families involved. I had felt like originally that it was, as nurses, you kind of just know certain things. But I'm like, oh, this is a good way to make sure you can get your work done and not have to be in and out of rooms, with family. And it probably was some of that, but worse. Like, I don't want to even have to talk to them. And so it
Mm.
just became what I would call a prison and a torture
Yeah.
chamber because a lot of the patients, I mean, everybody didn't have video access, and the Wi Fi after a while started messing up. There were so many patients that died alone,
Shit.
and so many families that feel like, oh, it was just the COVID, it was COVID. And it's like,
Mm. Wow.
so yeah.
And back then, that's what you would hear a lot too.
Uh-huh.
Yup.
Uh-huh.
Mm-mm-mm. Hey, Browns. Floor flat power guard. Salute to you too.
I don't know
Um.
how they can live with themselves. An easy answer that I'm going to put out there, in my opinion, for this state is because we are now at a point where we can officially, in my opinion, name this malignant systemic medical malpractice.
Mm.
And when they're allowed to do this, these are this it's spare the rod, spoil the child. So it's been going on so long that they're playing God instead of practicing medicine.
Mm.
And instead of being paid and compensated, because now this is my nursing perspective, for the work they're actually doing and the hard work that it takes to do it, they're getting these type of privileges where these networks will fight for them and, legal stuff. They'll never even hear about it. And so each physician is saving anywhere from $250 to $500,000 because they don't have to purchase a lot of times their own, you know, insurance. So the liability is already kind of, at least we're in charge, and everybody, essentially, not everybody, but those people are walking around like they have the authority to end lives. And
Mm.
what's scary is you don't know what the patients are getting, especially when my mother's lungs are full on autopsy. and her hemoglobin was low. So she didn't get blood. So she wouldn't be able to breathe, right? Her hemoglobin was like 5. And her lungs were full of fluid, which required chest tubes, like we said a long time ago.
Wow.
Which, if your lungs are full, I did try to log in early on our portal because, again, like this process really is not anything new for us. I go and as soon as the stuff is uploaded, I'm putting it back with, what was said, and I have a clear picture of what is said and what's actually happening. In this case, we somehow are locked out of her portal.
I'm so sorry.
Thank you. It's very
How we
heavy on
do?
the heart for sure. Katie, it's a lot of things. It's heavy, it's sad, disheartening, and like back to your first comment, I I'm so defensive. I'm so defensive about certain areas of the story
Mm,
because they're where I hold the guilt, and it shouldn't be this way. This is why it's a problem because it's like, had you let me take care of her, at least she wouldn't have had to suffer feeling like nobody was going to do it, right?
mm,
Or if I literally had barged through the doors, which, a lot of people felt like I've always been capable of, or showing up and then not leaving, would that have been better, even though I was trying to prevent her from being retaliated against? Which goes
mm.
back to how we've been abusing the other two networks. So it's a lot because my state of mind with it is almost like hers was. Seeing her talk on the camera through YouTube is surreal. And it would be things that her and I would watch, right? We would probably have subscribed to you and be literally listening to you. And so seeing it is heavy, but there's nothing about this medical stuff, including names, that I cannot give. And that's heavy because no one else, you know what I mean, nobody else has the story. Not even the other staff members, because it becomes like a copy and paste thing. This is what's happening in shift report thing, and nobody has a clear picture because no one ever even wanted to figure it out. So I'm the only one with the picture. And then there's the patient who's telling her own story.
How's your kids doing with everything?
My daughter lost all of her hair. I have been debating on whether that's something I want to share, because we attempted to go to therapy and not one of the therapists ever spoke anything about grieving.
Oh,
All of
wow.
them were interested in the story. Some of them knew the story, and we
What?
ended up not obviously staying there. But all of my daughter's hair fell out. Her and my mom were extremely close because you know we moved in, and my daughter was maybe 2.
Yeah.
My mom would often say, like, I just
She's
can't
a
wait until I
baby.
get better because all she knows me for is like, they called her Booba. Um,
Oh,
Booba's been sick my whole life,
she was a
and that made
baby.
her sad. My son is still having a very hard time. They're both still struggling, and I'd like to talk about it, but
It's okay. I understand. I definitely understand.
there's people
I,
that don't care, and that's probably, look back to Katie's point, that probably will definitely have me in a different state of mind for real. And so I want to protect them, even though their names are out. I mean, it's one of those things. And so the more people we can get to at least humanize her, like this is a problem. Why hasn't anybody covered it, right? We're at like 12,000 signatures. Nobody has even contacted. Why? I could tell you why, but I sound like a conspiracy theorist if I do. And I don't feel like I'm in a position really to be like, let me prove everything to you guys because I need your support. It's like, let's just think of her as your aunt, your cousin, your sister.
That's right.
Close your eyes while you're listening to it. Hospitals are required to do one thing specifically: provide standard care with safety care, safe care, right? That's what the regulatory organizations are for, right? You're providing standard and it's safe standard. They are not required to get rid of your illnesses. They're not required to know, right? All of that's actually practicing. The hospital, the system, the act of caring for people, the standards are whatever those standards are that you agree to and you get accredited on, and that the patients are safe. That didn't happen. Nothing else is important. She didn't get COVID treatment. I don't want to talk about that because guess what? There's specific laws about COVID and suing that makes it impossible for you to talk about your loved one who passed and how they were treated in COVID because it was a pandemic. Well, that is a whole nother story. But why do we need to talk about the treatment when y'all saw and heard what was happening at least on 2, 3 days with this patient, right? IMPD never shows up. They never take this respiratory therapist off her care. How do we know she wasn't giving her stuff?
How?
How?
Right.
I know that she wasn't getting nebulizer treatments for the longest. You know, like it's so much with it. So without continuing to like dissect each and everything, it's simple. What do you hear? What do you see? Is this okay? You know?
Wow. I was just gonna say that too. No, like she could have been. Oh God, I don't even want to think. I don't want to have you. I don't want to get you more upset. But what you were saying, you know what I mean? Like, wow. And that's what I think too. When my mom's, I was like, how do I not? Like, they could have been giving her anything. How she
Listen,
go from talking, laughing, and then 2 days later she can't even move? You can't trust these. I have Brian up here. He's the one that sent me a story.
who is
Oh,
Brian?
oh wait, damn, this damn freaking laptop. Um, he sent me
Thank
the
you,
story.
Brian.
Yeah, he sent me the
I hope I
story.
haven't talked to Brian because I am very, very bad at that. Like you keep like I can't keep the people straight, you know? And now
he,
it's becoming so many.
he's in a nursing home and he was neglected and abused in one
I
of them.
remember exactly who he is.
Yup, he sent me your story. He didn't
He's
say
so
nothing. All
sweet.
he did was send it to TikTok, and I was like, and that's the first when I first went on there when you was live a few days ago that he sent me your story, and I was like, what's this? And I look, and my heart just, I said, I gotta reach out to her, and then I started
Yeah.
watching your mother. Your mother's so beautiful. Her mother is
She's
so
so pretty.
beautiful. When I
Yeah.
tell ya,
Yeah,
okay.
she's very pretty.
She is beautiful. I started watching her video. I was like, oh, she was in the hospital. Then I knew she was a nurse and she worked for them same people that, I saw a few of her videos. I was like,
She
oh
had
my,
worked for all those systems.
mm, mm, mm.
Wild. It's so wild.
Wow. Wow.
So yeah, I really appreciate it. Really, really appreciate it because these are the things that help me go to sleep at night. Because obviously I still don't sleep well, and these are the things that help me get up in the morning. Seriously, like my husband and my kids, we're good, and obviously, you're moving on at least for them, but it's them that they've carried me.
Yeah, wow.
They've carried me, and seeing like the petition rise even 4 signatures sometimes was big. And when it got real bad, I just wanted to see that one person sign, um,
Mm,
because I'm at a point where I need something to happen. I don't think I'm ever going to get good sleep until first this story makes national, that it gets out, because then I'm safe on platforms, right? If not, I'm just kind of out here hoping that people understand what is happening and what happens when you know, are trying to inform people of things. And so it's like one of those things where I just need people to share it, just keep sharing it, keep reposting it.
Mm-hmm. Y'all hear that? Keep sharing, keep posting.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't even think like her
Makes it.
videos require even commentary, like at the very least, because commentating a lot of times makes people feel like they have to like pick a side, like it could become like a political thing. Like, I don't want to talk
Mm,
about this because it's the hospital I work at type thing.
mm,
And that's a problem. But out of respect for people, because I get it, that makes sense. Just repost it. Saw this, sharing it.
yeah.
Check out the petition. Instead of saying go sign, read the petition. And again, you guys still don't even have the whole story. We could be here
Mm,
every day the rest of the month.
wow. It's a lot.
It's a lot.
Wow.
It's a lot. But thank you
She,
so much to Brian.
yes, Brian. Yes. He was up here a few weeks ago, and I was like, wow. His story is. You've heard him, you said before, right? Yes.
Yep. I haven't checked back in to see what that update was like on the move.
Oh, because he's trying to get out of there. Matter of fact, my caseworker. I did. I'll call him out. I'll contact him after this
Yeah. I
because I
want
was
to say
talking to him
his
in
last
person.
post is that he was able, I don't know, don't quote me, but I
I know
feel like,
he's trying to. He needs to get an apartment. That's what he's
yes,
trying to work on. Yeah, to get out of there.
I think he did. I think that's what he
Oh,
was
he
talking
did.
about. I think he did. I think he did. He had, it wasn't on live. I think he did. No, it was live. And I remember specifically now someone asking him how he liked his place. Are you liking the new
Really?
place? Yeah. Yeah. So check in with them.
Oh, he didn't tell me. He was just in the comments.
Oh, yeah. And he didn't say anything.
No, and I just reached out to what was it a few days ago? Okay, go ahead,
Okay.
Brian. Okay, I definitely gonna hit him up after this. That's
Yeah.
amazing. God is
Yeah.
good.
Yes, he is
Um,
all the time.
do you? Oh, okay. There she go. Do you want to say anything else before we go?
Nothing other than follow me on TikTok. We're
Yes.
we're
On
on our
Facebook.
way, and Facebook, on our way to 10,000 followers is the goal.
Mm.
Um, I've been told that like at 10,000 or something, that it opens like a live studio type thing. And so
Oh.
that's going to be
Okay.
a better platform, I think, for me to be able to talk, directly to people in a different stance. So whatever comes along with that, I need that.
Okay.
And then what has worked in the last 24 hours are people literally boosting like any of the videos, sharing and boosting. And that is literally taking people to the petition and they're signing.
All right. Did you get
So
the petitions? Can you send the petition?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And whenever you get ready, when you get ready, and could put it in but down below and send it to
Mhm.
me also, so I could start spreading and
Okay.
stuff. And then any information, any
Thank you. I
phone numbers and
appreciate it.
stuff you want me to call, just text it to me. I'm gonna send you my phone number actually. Okay,
Okay. Hang
I'm
on
gonna
a
send you my
second.
phone number. She can use StreamYard. Okay. Okay, I didn't know that. I thought that was for YouTube only. Look, I'm learning something different too. Sure. Thank you, Miss V. Hold on, let me put that up there so she can see it when she comes back. Oh, oh, there you go.
Am I back?
Oh, she'll be back, y'all. Okay, there she go. There you go.
I just don't know why every time I pull the chat up, it takes me out. I'm gonna try
Miss V
something different
said
this
you
time.
could use StreamYard.
Okay, what is that? How do I get to that?
Can be used to TikTok yet, but she can't use it for Facebook and YouTube. Right. You can use it for Facebook and YouTube. Like right now, I got my thing on both Facebook groups and
Oh, somebody told me
YouTube.
about that. That's the name of it,
Yeah,
where you
that's
can just
yeah,
stream once and
StreamYard.
send it.
And so yeah, that's what we on now.
Is it an app?
StreamYard. That's what I'm on now. StreamYard. I could send you Miss V, you want to come up here? Hold on now. She be teaching StreamYard.com.
StreamYard.com. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Thank you so
And
much, Miss V.
if you ever want to know about how to do Facebook, mostly YouTube and stuff like that, she's the person to go to. Cause she
I
has her
then I need her help.
yeah, because her on her well, she does crime also and stuff like that. She does a lot of different things, but she does teach YouTube how to be a better YouTuber, just a whole bunch of stuff,
I need that
So
because we do
yeah,
have the YouTube address. If you didn't see, it's advocate RN caregiver.
send
But
it to me.
yep, I hadn't done anything with it because I'm like,
I could definitely, yeah,
yeah,
I could definitely help you out with. Well, she could definitely help you out with your YouTube stuff, and I could spread your stuff everywhere,
please do.
Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, like here, there, everywhere.
Yeah,
So definitely.
that's
Thank
the
you for
goal.
joining. I'm definitely keeping you in my prayers. I'm gonna reach out to you as soon as we finish with this anyway, because I'm gonna give you my phone number.
Okay.
I'm gonna definitely give you my cell phone number and everything.
Okay.
And oh, there go Miss V. Wait, don't go nowhere.
Okay.
There she go.
Hi. First of
Hi,
all, I
Miss
want to
V.
give. Hi, how are you? I'm so
I'm
sorry. I
okay.
didn't
Oh,
catch everything, but my condolences. The
thank
little
Hmm.
bit
you.
that I did catch, it sounds horrifying.
Yeah.
And I will catch up with Jazz, just or rewatch just to get the full story. But I heard you saying that you can get some type of streaming once you get 10K followers, and you literally you can stream what we're both using. We're all
Mm-hmm.
on StreamYard right now. And so, Jazz, you actually could go into your studio and give her the link. And if you decide to buy a plan,
Mm-hmm.
is you'll get $10 off your plan by using Jazz's link.
Okay.
But it's
Okay.
free. It's free. Actually, you go on StreamYard.com and it walks you through it, and it's gonna ask you to connect your destinations. And so
Okay.
wherever whatever social medias you have, you can
Mm-hmm.
connect it. Eventually, they're gonna have it where we can use stream to TikTok as well. But right now, it's quite a few. And if you
Okay.
need help, I will definitely help you set up whatever you need with YouTube or any assistance.
Look at that.
We
Awesome.
could meet you. I could meet you like in the backstage of the StreamYard with Jazz. She could set
Okay.
it all up. Just let her know. I'm here
Okay.
though. All
Drop
Thank you
right.
your
so
And
much.
you're
Miss V.
very
Drop your
welcome.
link for her.
Okay. I'll drop it when I drop down.
Okay.
And the chat, they changed it. Like I heard you saying every time you hit the chat or something, it takes you down. It now when you hit the chat, it just take you to chat and you can't see the comments. So I don't know if you was trying to see
Right.
comments.
Yeah.
They
Well, I
changed
don't
it.
see, yep, I don't see the comments. What I saw is that instead of saying, I think it's done, I needed to hit the X
Mhm.
in the comment.
Okay.
Mhm. Oh, they changed it.
Okay.
And so that took me back.
That's what
Okay.
you were saying
Okay. I'm gonna
yesterday
drop the
too. That you
what
couldn't
it
see the
kept.
comments. Remember?
Yeah, they
Yeah.
changed it. That's so weird because it used to have where you could toggle back between the chat and the comments. But I noticed she drops down, but she popping right back up.
Yeah.
They can't hold you down too long. I see.
Not too long.
So
Thank you.
okay, y'all. I'm gonna drop the link when I get down.
All
Thank
right,
you so
Mama.
much.
Thank you, Miss
You
V.
welcome, and prayers to you and your family.
Thank you,
Okay,
love.
you welcome, Jazz.
All right, babe. She's awesome.
Yes, she is.
Yeah.
Yes, she
She's
is.
really good with her teaching channel and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
she goes, I don't know a lot of stuff with this YouTube thing too. And I don't know why I didn't think of that. Like, use StreamYard. Look, if somebody don't
Yeah.
say it, then I won't remember. You know how sometimes you forget and then a person mentioned be like, oh yeah, why didn't think of that? But
Yeah.
if
And
you do want
somebody
to
had
use
told me about it, but didn't say, that it was an actual, they didn't know the platform essentially. And I'm like, well, that don't help. I would love to say it just once.
yeah, StreamYard. I could send you my thing if you want
Okay.
to. That
Yep.
way, you don't have to, you get your percent off or whatever. And
Yeah.
the plan also, like right now, I'm just using it's a $20 plan, but you could use it where you don't got to even pay,
Yeah.
you know?
Okay.
It's free. You know what I mean? So, yeah, we'll talk about it though. And
Thank
she's
you so
definitely going to
much.
help you with that. You're welcome. And
Yes.
thank you for joining. I'm gonna keep you on my prayers and everything. And Miss V
Please
just
do.
sent her link down there for
Okay.
um for you.
Okay.
Thank you, Miss V.
Thank you
And
so much.
you're welcome. Thank you so much for
Yeah.
coming up and sharing your mother's story and
Yeah.
just this wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I plan on, let's make a goal of being able to update something um, by next week. Something. We're looking for some positive outcome for something next week, and I'm gonna stick to that. So if it's that we hit the 15,000, that's going to be great. If it's the followers, that's going to be great. If it's an email that somebody sent that I've already sent multiple times, that's great. So,
Okay. And those
oh,
phone numbers
thank
too.
you. Yeah.
Get me them
Yes.
get making them phone numbers and stuff like that too. Get it out
Yeah.
there.
Yeah. I know I had one set, I think it might be the AG and the prosecutor. There are several numbers I put back when I was going in circles again for the state of Indiana. They're in the petition under the updates, but I think it might be April or March's update.
Okay. And you could text it to me too, like any numbers you have or whatever. I'm about to give you
Okay.
my cell phone number. So
Okay.
just text it to me and I'll put it in my little notebook. And then today's Friday, Monday, I can start
Hmm.
doing that. Yeah,
Okay.
pretty
Thank you
much.
so much.
You're welcome. No problem.
Yeah.
All
Hugs
right.
to you too, love. Thank you.
All
All
right,
right. Hope to see you
everybody.
guys on TikTok as well.
Yes, of course. TikTok,
So
Facebook. You
everybody,
have Instagram?
I do.
Look, she got it all too. TikTok, Facebook, Instagram. Please,
Yep.
please, please go and support her. Please, guys. I know you guys will. All right. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Mama.
Thank you so
All
much.
right, Brooklyn Squad. We are going to end it now. It's 4:47. Okay. 4:47. We started at what? 3? 3, 4. Not bad. That was very, very ooh, it gave me chills. It really did. I was just thinking, like my head was just going and just thinking of a lot of things when it came to my mom's also. So wow, wow. And like she said, there is so much more. I'm definitely gonna put her in my prayers and do what I can. Also, I'll put that information out for you guys too, so we could whoever wants to call or sign petitions and stuff like that. That would be very helpful. So thank you guys for everything. Thank you, Miss V. Mwah. Thank you, Mama. Thank you everybody else for joining. Everyone have a blessed, safe weekend. Okay. Treat yourself good and treat the one that you love the best too. Okay. Bye, guys.